evening, everyone. Welcome to Door on Tour. It's Mr. Do Daily back again for the latest episode of Dialing with Des. Of course, coming off the back of yesterday's defeat at the City Ground, one where we could hold our head up high, be positive about the result, in my personal opinion. Got lots to get through tonight. Really looking forward to getting stuck in. So if you'd like to join the show, please do dial in. Hit that link that Mr. Door's going to share very shortly, and it'll be an absolute pleasure to have you. Like I say, lots of positivity from the game, hoping for lots of positive chat. But before we get stuck into all of that, just like to say, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe on a Monday evening. All I'm trying to do is fill in for Mr. Door, just helping him out with a little bit of something different. We're trying to get him up to 10,000 subscribers, and if we can, that'd be absolutely amazing. It'd be a real feather in his cap if we can do that by the end of the season. And of course, if you'd like to support me, please give a thumbs up to this episode. It's something new I'm doing. I'm still getting used to it. About 3 or 4 weeks in, but we've had a great response so far. And like I say, if anybody would like to come on, this is an opportunity to come on and talk about all things Forest. Things are still ticking along nicely. Of course, I mentioned the positivity after a defeat. You know, if you want to talk about that, the atmosphere at the City Ground, Brennan's tackle, one or two other things about the game, or you want to talk about how the new signings set in. Loddy, of course, is checking in this week. Another new signing who could be an expensive acquisition. So we're expecting a lot of quality there. And of course, we'll be looking forward to Man City on Wednesday. That's a big game that we're all looking forward. They're coming thick and fast now, aren't they? They're really sort of hitting us. The reality of being in the Premier League, being in the big time, is definitely setting in. So, like I say, I keep using this word, lots of positivity, hoping there's more of that tonight. It's been brilliant in the last few weeks. It's been brilliant since Steve Cooper arrived. He's been in the job a year now. And again, you know, every single game seems to surprise us. If you do subscribe to Door on Tour, of course, please subscribe to Do Daily as well. I've got my own YouTube channel where I talk about lots of various issues, trying to be positive, enthusiastic about the things I do. A little bit of football in there, but it's not a football channel, not at all. You know, I try and encourage a little bit of activity, get people feeling good about themselves, just trying to rub off some of that positivity. Of course, football's been brilliant for me in that sense. So if you could get over to Do Daily after this episode, give that a thumbs up, give that a subscribe as well. That'd be absolutely amazing. And if you just watch one or two, you know, I'd really, really appreciate the support. You might notice today, voice is a bit croaky. It seems to be on a Monday. Lots of singing on at the City Ground, particularly when we play on a Sunday. So I'll do my best. I'll persevere through. I've had a long, busy day, so tired, a long, busy weekend, and I've got a really busy week ahead. But Forest is absolutely amazing right now, isn't it? So I'm loving every minute of following Forest at the minute. I put some social media out there saying the Premier League's just great fun, isn't it? Do you know, if I could sum it up in one small word, it's fun. It's bonkers, it's crazy, it's 100 miles an hour, but it's absolutely amazing at the same time. So really, really enjoying what's happening. And again, looking forward to getting up to Man City with Mr. Door and the boys and enjoying, hopefully, another really good performance. Can't promise the 3 points. We know how tough it's going to be, but really, really looking forward to it nonetheless. Just before I get the first guest in, there's plenty of guys queuing up tonight. Really sort of grateful to them. But before I get the first guest in, just a couple of comments. Arman says, "Say soup." Eve says, "Evening, Des. Hope you're well." I'm good, Eve. Hope you're really well too. Sonny says, "Do Daily on Tour is one of our own." Thanks for that. I do appreciate people saying hello at the City Ground yesterday. 1 or 2 people noticed me from doing this, and that's always nice. Do you know, if you bump into me, just do say hello. I'd love to speak to more Forest fans, and perhaps extend on this a little. Nick says, evening days, loving Monday nights nowadays. I'm actually loving the fact that I'm not up against Liverpool Man United tonight, Nick. So thanks for tuning in again. Dawn, we had to dry a little bit last week, but we did get there in the end once the game had finished. Dylan, good evening, Des. Hope you're well this evening. I'm good, Dylan. Great to see you yesterday. Hi, so still can't quite believe we have landed Lodi. Man City were told he wasn't for sale in July. Again, just the names that were being linked with, absolutely incredible. And the potential in that one. But I'm sure we'll speak about that a bit later. Gaiman says, hi, Des. Johnny, hi, Gamer, hi, Johnny. All the best for this weekend. I did mention that it's quite a big one, but I'm not going to dwell on that too much. Colin says, come on, you Reds. Michael says, all the best for Saturday. Thanks, guys. Really, really appreciate it. One or two nerves kicking in at the moment, but there you go. It's one of those things. Hi, Self says, I said hello on the stairs and called you Mr. Do Daily. Yes, I remember that. So thanks for saying hello. Rebel City Red, what can be better than a bank holiday than a few beers and dialing with Des? Absolutely. Rebel City Reds nailed it there. I've actually been out walking. I've not had a beer today. Door makes out I drink way too much, but there you go. So, no, enjoy your beer, Rebel City Red, and like you say, opportunity to talk about Forest or listening to what we're doing here. Nick says, good evening, Des. Justin actually says, morning, Des. I wonder if that's because he's calling from somewhere different. If you are watching the show from anywhere in the world, we've got a couple of guests from foreign shores on this evening. So please drop in the comments if you're watching it from wherever you are. That'd be absolutely amazing. I was waiting for one of these. Sunny D says, love you, Loddy. I'm sure we all know what that's reference to. And Destiny says, evening, Desmond, evening, Destiny. I don't often go by that name on a Monday, but there you go. With no further ado, I'll get on with the show, get some of the guys in. Really looking forward to getting people on. Like I said, there is people calling in from abroad, so we are working in different time zones. But if you've got anything to add, I'm going to ask the guys about the game, ask them what they want to talk about. If you've got anything to add, please drop it in the comments. It'd be amazing to read through as many of those as I can. We've got 66 people in so far, and it's building all the time. So please do drop a like on. That'd be amazing too, and subscribe to both Mr. Door and Do Daily, spelt like that on the screen. Get over and subscribe to that. Just one or two quick comments. I did say with no further ado. Glenn says, good morning from Geelong in Australia. Good morning, Glenn, and good luck for your wedding on Saturday. If you didn't know, Jolly's just dropped it out, the cat out of the bag. But I'll get the first guest in. Charlie, good evening.
Evening, how are we?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. First time I think we've spoken, so.
That's brilliant. And this is what's amazing for me, getting to talk to other Forest fans and hearing different opinions. You know, Door's been doing it forever, it seems now, so it's giving someone else a chance. But what's on your mind about Forest? What do you want to talk about?
So I want to talk about the fact that I think we're probably, and this is maybe a little bit ambitious, I think we're only one or two signings off of being quite comfortably a top 10 side. And I wanted to get your opinion on that, because I don't know if I'm being optimistic, but the talk that we're going to get relegated, or like, are we going to get relegated? That's sort of being on everyone's mind confuses me. I feel like, why are we worried about that? After yesterday's performance, I think we're building, aren't we? I think you can see each game we're progressing. And am I deluded in thinking we're two signings of being quite a competitive top 10 side?
I've not spoken about the game much because I was waiting for people to talk to me this week about it. And you put out a really good question there, because I'll be completely honest with you. For as optimistic as I've been, the last couple of games have been 100 miles an hour. We've been under pressure. We was under a lot of pressure yesterday. Don't get me wrong. Whilst I was really pleased with the performance, but before yesterday, I said to somebody, whilst I didn't think this would happen before anybody shoots me, I said there's still a massive possibility that we would go down this season. Whether I necessarily thought it, looking on the balance of everything and trying to be realistic, listening to what other people say, I thought there's a real chance. I watched that game yesterday, and there's no chance that team's getting relegated.
No, exactly. Absolutely no chance.
We played a team. We pinned Tottenham back for large parts. We passed them off the pitch. We won the ball back high up the pitch. And against other teams, we're going to score goals. They've got a real good side. And when they get the ball on the break, there's no better team coming out of their own half at pace like Tottenham. We know, as much as we love Worrell and McKenna and Cook, we know that pace is always going to be a bit of an issue, especially against the Tottenham. So I think it's really sort of important to understand the opposition yesterday. They're a genuine top four side. There's talk about them pushing on a little bit, pushing on perhaps third, second, and you look around the team. I looked at Højbjerg. Højbjerg was absolutely brilliant for them. Despite the fact at times we won the ball back, we played high up the pitch, but he did everything. He was all over the pitch. He was in front of the goalkeeper 1 minute. He set that second goal up when he played that ball down the line. There was a bit more to it, but he put that ball down the line. He was in the box. He was having shots. And then you look at Luis. He didn't really put a foot wrong as well. And I thought we played real good opposition yesterday. And when we play a team who's not Tottenham, of course, City's going to pose its own threat and its own risk. But I think when we play a team that's not Tottenham, we've got every opportunity. Of course, we're all looking at the Bournemouth game, Fulham, Leeds, Aston Villa, as potential points. And we've still got to go out there and do it, because against Everton, we weren't massively comfortable at times. Whilst I thought as the game went on, but when he brought those players on, when he brought Gibbs-White and the fact that Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson and Lingard all linked up well yesterday, yes, there might be a need for a central striker, a number 9, an Harry Kane-esque type player. But what was on the pitch yesterday would have beat a lot of teams in the Premier League.
Massively, and it's good that you mentioned the Højbjerg thing, because I think he was a good player. He had a decent game yesterday, but we matched. I think the midfield was where we had a lot of joy there. I think when you look at O'Brien, who I think will go under the radar this season because he's not a glamorous player, is he? But he just does everything, and he matched, if not, I think was better than Højbjerg on the day yesterday, and that says something when you're competing. Not in every position. I think maybe the speed in the centre backs is probably our weakness right now, isn't it? But if you're competing in 2 or 3 positions quite comfortably with a top 6 side, then there is no point in worrying about relegation, is my opinion. I feel I'm so confident in it.
I'm just looking at a comment there from Mark. This season, we're not expected to compete with the top 6 teams, but we didn't look out of depth. And going back to your question, I kind of went round it in a way a little bit then, not on purpose.
No, good.
We didn't, did we? And whilst I don't quite think we'll be top 10, I think I think we'll stop up. And that was the point I was trying to make. From being a little bit nervous about it, now I feel completely confident, because those players on the pitch, the pace we play, like you say, Lewis O'Brien. I thought Yates and Worrell had a really good game yesterday. I thought them two, obviously they're coming they come under the spotlight a little bit, and especially Worrell in the last couple of weeks has been questioned. But he's shown up again. He's shown up and done what he had to do.
He was in the team of the week, wasn't he? Premier League team of the week. So if that's not
I didn't see that. So that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then you've got Brennan Johnson who was getting a bit of flack. Can he live up to the Premier League? Absolutely brilliant yesterday, and he played a slightly sort of different role. Whilst he drifted occasionally to that right hand side, there was a bit more of a central role in there, I'd imagine, the way he was asked to do it. But the way he linked up with Gibbs-White and Lingard, it's good players bringing the best out of good players.
Yeah, that trio looked so good. The passing movement, I think it was, it was first half still. There was that 1-2 between, I think it was Lingard and Gibbs-White, wasn't it? It was just fast. It was When I've grown up, I'm 21, so I've grown up sort of being content with your Gary Gardners and your Henry Lansbury's. So to finally see that kind of quality at Forest is just, maybe that's why I'm so optimistic, but I'm getting carried away maybe, but Oh,
No, I think you're entitled to have that opinion. There's a couple of comments here. Let's get Man City game out of the way, regardless of whatever the score will be. Then we must get at least 5 points from the 3 games after that. Of course, it's okay accepting almost accepting defeat in these games. I totally agree with this point, Ricky. We do then have to go and get points, because each game that ticks off, it means it's another game without a win, and building that tally up to something that is going to keep us up. But I think you're so right. And sorry, just one other comment there from Nick. Total domination wise, there's 2 differences. 1, top quality striker in Kane, and 2, coached by Conte and Italian and the master of defence. Well, I'm inclined to agree with that, especially the first part. Kane, whilst I didn't think he played particularly well, he does what Kane does, and we all kind of love that when he plays for England. He gets on the end of things. I thought the ball bounced off him quite a lot, in all honesty. And whilst, of course, the coach Conte does make a difference with the defence, I think we've got a master as well. I'd sing Steve Cooper's praises like every other Forest fan. But again, what I saw yesterday was a team really, really playing for them, really sort of working hard, every last sort of sinew of energy and effort being put in, and that stems from the manager for me.
massively.
Everybody's talking like Chris Sutton, Paul Merson. This is going to happen, that's going to happen, and everybody's getting a bit wound up saying you can't gel a team. That's lazy punditry, because they've not done the research into Steve Cooper. They've not realised how he works a team. If you look back to Forest this time last season, Steve Cooper came into the most disjointed Forest team I've ever seen in my life. And he made it work. He made it happen. That he didn't know any of them. They wasn't working. They were bottom of the league. Yeah. So he's got a team now, which he's added quality to. Lots of players coming in, yes. It will take that little bit of time to fully understand each other. And having played football myself, you work with certain people and you understand where they run and those kind of things. But in terms of effort and energy, and yes, there is risk of burnout, but they keep adding to it, don't they? They've signed the guy today, Lodi, potentially a £35 million player. And somebody said there that Man City were turned down. They're not looking to consolidate by signing Morgan Gibbs-White and Lodi and all these players, spending a lot of money on Jesse Lingard. They're looking to at least be up around the area you say. Just a differing opinion, not different. Sorry, not that one. Slightly to balance the opinion up here. Don't get me wrong, Des. Good performance, just ongoing concern about conceding late goals. Well, of course, that's an issue as well, isn't it? But again, working up to the pace of the game, the fitness, the players coming in. Every single game there's players coming on. And I thought yesterday, and I don't know what your thoughts on this are, Charlie. I thought the subs made a real impact for us as well. Dennis looked sharp. I thought Taiwo looked really sharp.
Yeah. I tell you what was interesting though. It was when we took Cook off. If you're looking at previous seasons and previous managers, we'd have replaced. It'd be like for like. We'd have been like, okay, we're 1-0, or maybe I think it was 1-0 at the time, wasn't it? And it was sort of okay. We'll try and damage control here. And Cooper, I think, finally has a team that matches his mentality and a squad that matches his mentality. We're bringing on attacking players. It doesn't matter who we're facing. If it's Southampton or Spurs, we are going to attack teams and bring the game. And that's, I think as you said, that when we bring on subs like Freuer, for example, who I thought, again, possibly in a Lewis O'Brien-esque kind of role, will go under the radar when he plays. But he's a midfield general. And the fact that we have that sort of quality, Champions League quality, to bring off the bench is fantastic. And Isaiah Taiwo as well. I think as soon as he gets a goal, which is probably a bit more deliberate, you know what I mean? I think that West Ham goal is not going to give him. He's going to give him some confidence, not loads. When he gets a goal a bit more deliberate, then I think he's going to be cooking on gas. I mean, Dennis as well as a partnership, it'll be
absolutely.
Exciting.
And just before we go, I kind of think this is a great way to sum it up as well. Mark says we were the best teams in between both boxes. I think that's absolutely spot on, isn't it? But when it comes to defending and conceding that late goal, just to comment on that they at 1-0 down, Cooper has told us all for long enough now. We are going to go for it. We're not going to settle for defeat. That might mean a couple of flattering score lines for the opposition. We might be 1-0 down quite a lot, and it might be 3-4 in the end in the last 10 minutes. But he's told us, hasn't he? He's going to go for it. And me, for one, I love that. I think Forest have been far too nice for far too long and accept defeat and accept being the perennial bottle jobs, and now we've got somebody who's really prepared to give it a go. So going back to your original point, Charlie, I think there's every chance we could push up. It's been hard, the Premier League. It's been really, really hard. There's no doubt about that. It's incredible. But with the right man in charge, with players still coming in, they've possibly identified an area to strengthen on the left wing back.
Yeah.
They've done it quickly. They've acted quickly.
It's been the story of the transfer window, hasn't it?
Yeah. As soon as something's happened or an injury, they've gone out and acted quickly on it. And I think what a great way to sort of be taking the club forward in that sense and being proactive. Well, yes, I'm slightly reactive, but they're proactive in getting things sorted quickly. And I think that's really important. So hopefully your prediction's right.
Fingers crossed.
And we're near 10th and 20th. So
absolutely.
Fingers crossed. But it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, mate.
Thank you very much for having me on, and good luck for Saturday.
Thank you. I was hoping not to talk about that too much, but
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm sure everybody's going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
But, this is a football show after all. But no, cheers, mate. Really, really appreciate it. Great to meet you. Some great.
And you.
If anybody agrees with Charlie, and what he's got to say, please drop it in the comments. If you think we can finish nearer 10th and 20th, I'd love to know what you think. Everybody's got their opinion. It's always changing, isn't it? I think there was a point I said I think we'll finish 13th, 14th. Then I saw how difficult the Premier League was. Started questioning it, as I've already spoke about this evening. And now I think we can start looking forward again, looking up and looking at which teams we can pick off, because we've got those quality signings, those additions, and they're starting to shine. And that's what we really need. Hopefully the goals will come too. Just a couple of comments before I get the next guest in. The two head said yesterday was very good. We were just lacking a final bit up top for putting the ball in the net. We discussed that there. Absolutely, the two head. Who was the worst player on the pitch and who was the best? I guess that's a question for me. For me, Forest man of the match was Morgan Gibbs-White. But if anybody's watched me talking about this guy, would say I'm being completely biased. But he looked absolutely brilliant. His touches, the way he moved the ball off his feet. He didn't pass it conventionally. It kind of rolled around his feet and he flicked it and he was looking that way and he passed it that way. And just incredible. That split second in the Premier League makes the difference. And that, in those first couple of games, that's what we didn't have. We were lacking up front in that cohesion. And I think he just adds a lot. You've seen the 1-2 with Brennan, and Brennan gets away. On another day, we know how well Brennan finishes. He's shown it last week on a one-on-one. That could have been an equaliser, and we're right back in the game. Who was the worst player? I thought the worst player on the pitch was Harry Kane, but he scores 2 goals, doesn't he? As a footballer and the ball bouncing off his knees and off his things, but then he scores 2 goals, and he's probably the most valuable player on the pitch. The MVP. But that's just the way I see it. So people might agree. If you've got anything to say about that, please add it in the comments. Warren, evening Des, evening Warren. Rebel City, I'm so glad we got Spurs in the Carabao Cup. Payback time. Well, hopefully they'll take out some of those forward players and we've got a bit of a better chance. I'm sure we'll have a slightly changed team as well. Comment here. We have England's number 1, Wales striker, Brazil's first choice left back, Wales first choice right back, Mangala just breaking into the Belgium team. For a newly promoted side, that's unheard of. Need goals though. I think that's the general consensus, isn't it? But I'm sure they'll come. I'm absolutely sure they come. And to have that kind of calibre in terms of international pedigree on the pitch, you know, again, I used the term earlier, lazy punditry. They're not looking into it. We're getting ignored, looked over, but I'm quite happy with that. Lots of people are getting upset on Twitter and social media saying, oh, they're having a go at us and getting wound up by it. Brilliant. Let them ignore us. Let us go under the radar. I'll absolutely accept that, and I'm sure Steve Cooper would as well. Paul says we could trouble City free hit. Well, absolutely. Do you know, one thing me and a friend at the match were talking about is City are probably easier to score against than Tottenham. Whilst they might score a lot more than Tottenham at the other end, they're probably slightly easier to score against in the way that you can get at them, you know, and they're not as tough. Somebody mentioned earlier the Conte sort of ethics of Italian football. Of course, he's well drilled, but City don't seem to be that. They're well drilled at the other end of the pitch, mine. So that's the worry, isn't it? But again, if you've got anything, that'd be absolutely amazing. If you want to add that, just sort of blitzing through these so we can get the next guest in. Seeing that team yesterday, I have every confidence to stay up. Absolutely, gamer. Not sure who this guy is, but he's supporting the channel, saying hit the like button, people. Somebody called DoreOnTour, but no, he's an absolute legend, of course. Please get behind what we're trying to do here. Adam, we can take a lot of positives out of the game yesterday, despite the result. It's just that big word quality that separated teams. We will get there and we will beat Bournemouth. Let's hope so. Unfortunately, I won't be there to see it. But that's another story, which Mr. Dore likes ribbing me about. Nick says we have to get Rena Loddy's correct name. Okay, I did wonder about this. I did wonder how it's pronounced because I have been busy today, so I've not been able to see too much. So it's Renan Loggy. So we love you, Loggy. But I did wonder. So thanks for letting us know, Nick. Adam, again, Man City is a free hit. However, you never know. It's football and it's a funny old game. Absolutely. Crystal Palace were 2-0 up on Saturday. Imagine that. But we know that's not exactly safe. The comment here for me, will you be checking the score on Saturday, Des? What I will say on this subject, and I know I said I wouldn't talk about it, in any other season, this weekend is the international break. But because of the World Cup in Qatar and the way it is, I've got a wedding. So I'm going to miss a Forest game and it's going to drive me absolutely insane. So will I be checking the score? I'll be able to hear the score because the wedding reception is at Trent Bridge Cricket Ground. So I'll definitely know what's going on, Eve. But thanks for asking. Big Mark said the Warriors that Spurs were far from their usual standards of play and still left with 3 points and the goalkeeper had a couple of shots to save. We need a player who will shoot on sight. Again, it seems to be that thing, doesn't it? Looking for that number 9. Hopefully, we see a little bit more from Tyro. Dennis, of course, is a great addition. I thought he was more of a number 9, Dennis, but he seems to be someone else who drifts out left and cuts in. Seems to be quite effective at it as well, so quite skillful. So looking forward to seeing those two develop. But again, I'm inclined to agree. We need somebody who's going to stick it away. But again, against different opposition, I'm sure yesterday there would have been goals involved. Again, when we've got to keep one eye on what Spurs are doing the other way, it's really, really hard, isn't it? Good friend of mine here, I've known for many years. You missing the game on Saturday, Des, on the valves in the centre circle. Wow, it's if only. Simon says Morgan Gibbs White is out. Kanchelskis? Maybe so. Cheers for having me on, Des. Cheers to have you, Charlie. So before I go for any more comments, because it could be there absolutely all day, there's 124 people in. Keep commenting. I'll read as many as I can. Keep giving the episode that thumbs up. It's important to get that support. I'm going to bring in Russell.
Hey, Des.
Russell. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling you from the United States of America, Indianapolis.
I thought you were. Mr. Dog gave me the heads up.
Nah, of course he did. Yay. I wake up to his Twitter question, can you be on at 4 o'clock?
I think we all wake up to his Twitter, don't we? It's relentless. But
yeah, it seems to nowadays.
Anyway, joking aside, what is it that's getting you excited about Forest at the moment, Russell?
Well, obviously, my age, it's great to see them back in the Premier League. Obviously, as a youngster, I was fortunate to see the glory days of the late 70s and that stuff. So to see the excitement of you guys and what you're doing with your stuff on YouTube and seeing everything and the excitement around the ground. The City ground is obviously becoming a fortress to hear you all getting behind the team. It's just exciting to see from all these miles away here in the United States.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Do you know it's spine tingling in the City ground? It's incredible. And at the end of dialing with Des last week on Monday, I urged everybody not to lose the faith if it didn't go well. And I'm not saying I played any part in that, but we've got to keep reminding ourselves that how good it is. I've said how much fun it is so far. I was in the pub before the game, the boot room just outside the ground, and just the atmosphere in there. Everybody was hugging each other, talking about it, saying if we get beat, it's not the end of the world, that kind of thing. And that's not something as Forest fans we've always been particularly good at, is it? So having this kind of positivity around the place and people like yourself tuning in from all those miles away, I'm sure at times it could be really quite easy to switch off. But again, to know people are out there and following us all around the world, gaining new fans as well now through the Premier League exposure, it's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Obviously, I've been over here in the States since 1993. So to see the game develop, because I'm actually in professional football over here, coaching youth soccer. So to see the game evolve over here, we get the English Premier League. We get every game we can see televised every week, all 10. So the game is just booming over here. So obviously being a Forest fan, being able to see them now live anytime is obviously exciting.
And what did you think of yesterday's game? What did you make of it?
Well, to be honest, I was working. I was in Chicago, Illinois, but I kept looking at my phone and watching the game on my phone. And I agree. I watched the show last night after the game, and I agree with some of what they were saying. It was a lucky ricochet off the guy that went to Kane that caused the first goal. And then if I put my coaching hat on, obviously the second goal was really poor defending. Absolutely. Really poor defending at the back post. To switch off like they did at that level, it's got to be asking a few questions.
Yeah, and I think they're obviously looking at that area of the pitch, aren't they? That it was a switch off, and I think the pace of the game, everyone's trying to get forward again. I've actually it was Kiyate, wasn't it, who kind of walked off Harry Kane. I've liked what he's done in the team, but again, you've got to be. The Premier League's proving that you've got to be switched on at every single from minute 1 to 98 or whatever it was yesterday, haven't you?
Yeah, but I do think the ball that Richarlison played across surprised him. To hit that ball like he did with his outside of his right foot. Because when he went onto his left, I think they were surprised he crossed it. So it was a great cross. You can't take that away from him.
Wasn't that the only time he actually made a positive contribution to the game?
Yeah,
I'm surprised he didn't fall over.
If I'd have been on the pitch, I'd have done the same as the other guys did when he started juggling the ball. So kudos to those guys.
Yeah, I did mention right at the start Brennan's tackle. So if you've got any thoughts of that, I'm sure we all saw the tweets. It was a little bit disrespectful of Richarlison.
Correct.
But no, just going back to what Charlie says, and of course you watch Forest and you know a bit about football yourself. Do you see them staying up the season? Do you think it's possible?
Yes. I've said anywhere between 14th and 18th, I'd be really happy. I'd be really happy if they obviously higher than 14th, but anywhere 14th to 18th, I think that would be a great foundation to build on moving into the next year.
Well, that's fantastic, and keep tuning in, Russell. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on and speak to you. Where did you live over here just before you go?
So I'm originally from Nottingham. I lived in Keyworth. Okay. I was actually a youth player at Nottingham Forest back in the late 70s. I actually played with Stevie Hodge, Chris Fairclough, Chris Woods. Those guys went that way with their careers. I went, unfortunately, that way. Didn't quite make it, but it was a great youth. Alan Hill was my youth coach. So I got to meet the Brian Clough in person in the changing rooms after a game. So they're memories I'll always take away.
Absolutely, and you've got all that to call back on. I never actually met him in person. I was a fan sort of right late in his career, and it's one of the things I look back to and think I wish I had.
Yeah, he's a special person, but we've got another special guy that's running the club now.
Absolutely, and when you spoke about coaching, you took the Steve Cooper route.
Yes, I'd say I was fortunate with the game. I played 5 years professionally over here, and went into coaching. So giving back to the kids, and that's what I love doing.
Absolutely brilliant, and that's absolutely fantastic. I'm involved in encouraging a lot of running and activities, so I know how rewarding it can be. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Russell, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
Well, nice to meet you, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Take care.
Cheers, Russell. An absolute gent there, calling in from the USA. Really nice to have Russell on, and of course, really knowledgeable about the game as well. And it's brilliant when we get people on like that. If you want to get involved, there's still an opportunity. Hit that link and just sit backstage until I bring you in. That's what tends to happen here. It's fantastic when people come on, and it's always great to have different people on as well. Just getting back to these comments. Nick says Michael Richards was wet. That's hard to say quickly. Michael Richards was raving about Forest on Match of the Day too, and he's confident Forest will stay up. Absolutely. They're starting to change the tune a little bit, aren't they? Because they've actually seen us play. They've seen what we're all about. Jamie Redknapp was exactly the same. Jamie Carragher, I know he's a massive fan of Cooper, and I think they're big mates. So, yeah, I think they're starting to come round a little bit. There was no more question. There will be no more questions about Cheltenham as a team. Of course, again, the more we get that, the more likely is that to happen. At least 8 players will be at the World Cup. Again, another sort of another reference to how far we've come. Just shows that we've really made massive steps. And again, not everything is going to be straightforward, is it? Whilst last year Cooper come in and changed the whole thing and performed a miracle, it's going to all happen again, isn't it? And I, for one, I'm enjoying the ride. Mention here for Dean Henderson, kept us in it, absolutely. Proving to be one of the best additions, I think. That's something we can talk about, I guess, either today or in future weeks. But Dean Henderson, what a signing that's been. And it was the first, one of the first. So he was obviously an important role to fill, especially after how much we enjoyed Samba and his antics. I was a massive fan, but of course he came with a few issues. Now we've got a goalkeeper who seems equally as determined and committed to doing well. And again, he was absolutely brilliant yesterday. Darfrex, it says, Twitter is a cesspit of hatred, best left alone for your own mental health. Not quite sure what that was in reference to, but totally agree. Daniel said, would be great if we got points, only thing that matters. Absolutely, it is. I mentioned how important it is not to just assume that we're going to come back after Man City and we're going to get points against Bournemouth and Fulham. Fulham are smashing it, aren't they? Fulham are absolutely smashing it at the minute. They're playing really well. They nearly got something out of a game against Arsenal, who have won all their games so far. So, yeah, we can't take anything for granted, and it is so important because the longer that goes on after, if there was a couple more games, then it starts to get a little bit worrying. At the moment, I think they're riding a wave of sort of enthusiasm, confidence, the new players coming in all the time, playing for the manager, and I think it'll only be a matter of time before things change. Paul said, spoke to you outside, Grimsby, had a selfie with you. Thanks for that, Paul. Not sure why, but there you go. Colin Frey said it was Loggy way yesterday. Absolutely, I've heard that. If I do keep saying Loggy, I will get it right eventually. Eve says, I'm watching the game on TV on Saturday. You will probably be able to hear the fans singing Mullab Kintyre. Absolutely. That's going to be difficult, even though it won't in many ways. Reading all the away fans report, they're loving it at the City Ground. Again, I thought that was interesting. There was some banter in the stadium, But I've mentioned how spine-tingling it was at times. You know, I'm loving this now when everybody gets up and starts singing. I think I've watched the game back, and Jamie Carragher says it's just a crescendo of noise, you know. And when that penalty save, it just went to a whole new level. And everybody seems to be commenting. We're getting nice comments about being the best home fans, being the best away fans. Of course, we sell tickets everywhere we go, so it's absolutely brilliant in that sense. Warren who says, when was the last time we were tuning down and felt so positive about the performance? I honestly can't remember. Me neither. I can't remember ever being this positive, and that's again a mark of what Steve Cooper's done and what these players are doing in performing week on week. Peter said, pride of Henderson's 2 penalty saves. Again, it's great, isn't it? There's a lot of talk. There was already a comment about England's number 1. It'd be amazing if he can push for a spot, and it might be another player going to the World Cup. Personally, I think he's better than Pickford. I am a bit of a fan of Nick Pope as well, but my top 2 will be Pope and Henderson. And again, they've started the season absolutely on fire. Simon says, Forest are becoming a global phenomenon. Absolutely. People are tuning in from all over the place. This is an interesting one. The match official for Forest versus Bournemouth has been announced, and it is Michael Oliver again. Oh dear. We won't say too much about that, but I'm not sure about refereeing at all. Don't get me started on refereeing or VAR, because we'll probably be here till midnight. Sorry, just a comment in response to someone else there. Brian's back in. Comment I saw from Spurs fan, I think was on Twitter. Yes, Spurs won, but we had Kane. If Forest had Kane, they win. Simple. And that's an interesting way to look at it, isn't it? Whilst we're talking about number 9s and centre forwards and making that comparison to what they had and what we didn't, never actually thought if it was in our team, but I guess that might be the thing. You know, he finds a way to go, doesn't he? I said he didn't play absolutely fantastic. You know, I've seen him play much better, but he still scuffs one in the corner, misses a penalty, and gets a tap in. That's a brace. You know, he'll take that every single game, won't he? And again, we need somebody to find some kind of consistency. I was going to say that kind of consistency. Not many people have ever found Harry Kane's kind of consistency in terms of scoring. I think he's 3rd now behind Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer. So he is a top player. And we do need to remember that. Playing with Son and playing with Kulusevski, what a player he was. Son didn't have the best game, but then they bring on Richarlison, who again, for all his faults and his antics and being an idiot, he puts in a ball that surprised them, like Russell said, and made the real difference ultimately. So again, we've got to be realistic here. Whilst we're being realistic about Forest, you know, it's about being realistic about who we're playing and what the opposition is as well, isn't it? Simon says, I think the Forest players thought it was a foul against Foyer and switched off. Again, it's something we've got to be aware of, isn't it? Especially with VAR, because if sometimes fouls might not be given. I think there was one in the Wolves game, wasn't it? Wolves Newcastle, right near the end. Player got pushed and they played on because they weren't sure. And I think with VAR, we're gonna have to be a little bit careful with that, because there was also the one with Nico Williams when it did look a foul. I was up in arms myself against West Ham, and they went up and got the penalty at the other end. So it's something that they probably need to be a little bit aware of. Only thing that's a concern is the bookings. Again, yes, I think some of it boils down to pace and the way that we push forward. You know, we leave ourselves short. We take risk. And I'd much rather be a risk-taking team and pick up a few more points than this team that sits back and gets nothing out of any game. So, again, there's pros and cons to it as well, isn't there? It was a body check. That's a foul. So just some people commenting there. Game day 6 official Forest versus Michael Oliver. Just confirmation of the referees again. Mr. Dore back in. Click the link now, guys, if you want to come on and have a chat. Got a few people waiting, really looking forward to getting them in. But, of course, there's always room. I'll talk about Forest all night if you want to. You know, I absolutely love it. Getting a chance to sort of pick the bones out the weekend, hear people's opinion. It's absolutely brilliant. If you're watching, and you've not been on before, please come on. You're more than welcome. If you're watching and you don't want to come on because you're a little bit nervous, please do give it a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Do Daily, my channel. I always say it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a hard sell than talking about Forest and all the positivity, but it's very positive itself. So please get behind that. Gamer says, what's your opinion on the lack of sponsorship on the kit? In all reality, Gamer, I don't care. They're spending a lot of money. It's not as if it's holding us back, is it? It's not as if they need that money, and perhaps they do in many ways, but the business people are doing the business things. For me, I only really care what happens on the football pitch. It looks different. It looks a bit strange, but it doesn't really matter. I just want Forest to win. I want Steve Cooper to do the football side of it and let all the admin sort itself out. If you've watched this channel when I've been talking about other things with Mr. Dore, it's one of my bugbears that we get a bit drawn into all that kind of thing. I'm sure in due course they'll sort it out. And like I say, with all these players coming in, it's not as if it's stopping them, is it? So I'm sure that'll be okay. Dean Henderson again just gets it, being a Forest player, revving up the crowd. I'm sure they're all absolutely pumped as well. For as much as that's true, what Dean Henderson was doing there, I'm sure the crowd are revving up the players as well. And whilst I don't necessarily believe that we can make a massive difference in terms of quality, when it comes to confidence and just sort of being on top of things and feeling like you've got some support behind you, that helps, doesn't it? Because if you're on someone's case, that's when confidence drops. So it does affect quality. Slightly contradict my point there, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Darryl says, any opinions on lack of goals, as it's a concern for me at the minute? Well, of course, it's a concern for most of us, but we've got to realise where we're at, haven't we? We have just come out of the Championship. We have got players learning. Brennan Johnson starting to look the player we know he is. Again, we spoke about the link-ups and how they're working. It was tough against Tottenham. I'm just reiterating a point I made a little bit earlier. We would have scored goals against other teams yesterday. I have no doubts about that. It's not the long-term solution, because we probably do need a number 9, a real top target. Hopefully, again, Dennis, Tyro Wanyi, Surridge, when he gets involved, can chip in. But as we seen last season, we didn't really have. Of course, we had Graben, who was the focal point much of the time. But towards the end of the season, he wasn't always playing. He was injured, and there were people chipping in all around the pitch. You had Zinkernagel and Garner. Keenan Davis played a lot of football towards the end. He wasn't necessarily prolific. It's about getting whatever you can from all angles. And with those 3, if those 3 scored 8 or 9 goals each, it's a big ask, But if those 3 scored 8 or 9 goals, there's your 30-goal striker. So again, there's different ways to win a football match and score goals, isn't there? I think we're not too far away in that sense. It would be nice to have that person who you can almost guarantee is going to stick the easy ones away, at least, like Harry Kane. Jolly said there will be, it seems to be, they're waiting to see where they are after 10 games and high sponsorship deals again. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever happens with that, I'm sure it'll be in the best interest of the club. My good friend, Mr. Kevin Campbell. Hi, Des. I hope you're well. It's important to get that balance right up front. It will take time, and yet not too much time. I feel Forest will be fine, though. And again, that's just a point we've been making, is it? Thanks for the comment, Kev. Really, really appreciate that, and you tuning in. I know you're busy on a Monday evening talking about Arsenal. I'm sure you're absolutely loving that at the moment. 12 out of 12. Looking down on Spurs. They had plenty to say about you guys yesterday, but, we did our best. So thanks for coming on, mate. And just one more before I get something, because I just realised I've been reading lots of these comments. Why is number 1 talking about Dean Henderson? It would have been, why is no one? I'm not sure no one is. If you've watched the show, lots of people are talking about Dean Henderson. He's been absolutely brilliant. And it might have been a few more, but that's his job as well, isn't it? That's the Premier League. Unfortunately, we didn't put our shots on target. If we had, Luis would have had to make saves as well, and that's all part and parcel of what the game is at the top level. So I'm going to bring Axel in. Good evening, Axel. Are you all right? Can't hear you. Can't hear you, mate. Just read some of the comments, Axel. Just one or two comments while we wait for Axel to log in. Des, do worry if it goes pear-shaped and the worst happens. Of course, but again, there's lots to be positive about, isn't there? And we've just got to be sort of content with where we're at the moment and look to push on. Football always surprises you, doesn't it? When you think a team is dead and buried, they come back all guns blazing, and when you think a team is going to win the league, they mess it up. But there you go. Are you there, Axel?
Yes. Now you hear me?
I can, yeah. Great stuff. You're on finally. Are you all right?
Just fine. Having myself some mate.
Okay. So, are you excited about Forest season?
Yeah. I was really hoping for waiting for the Tottenham game, because I thought like the 4 first matches were like a representing sample of the Premier League. We have Newcastle, who probably will fight for the top 9. West Ham, who will probably get to mid-table. Then Everton, that will be fighting for relegation, and Tottenham, that I guessing is gonna be the top four probably. So seeing the overall of the 4 games, not just how many points we have taken, but also the way we played, and that Cooper hasn't compromised the style of play based on who we're playing against. I was actually very surprised the way the game against Tottenham played out. I didn't imagine that it was going to be so even. But I don't remember who said it away some time ago in the show. We are now in the Premier League, and we must get used to play and lose some matches.
Yeah, no, I think you're making an important point there, Axel, in the fact that Cooper hasn't compromised, has he? He's not. Yeah. He's not fighting to play the Forest way, to play his way, to play the football that got us promoted. Of course, we're playing it at a quicker pace with more skill and ability required. But he's signed the players. Players are coming in who can hopefully fit into those roles, into the system. And again, we know what a great manager he is. So whilst they might not be necessarily, it might not fit like a glove at the moment, I'm sure he'll get there. I'm sure he'll get there, and the players will buy into what he does, because the one thing you can see all over the pitch is that they work so hard for each other, for the manager. Lewis O'Brien gets a lot of praise for what he does, rightly so. Absolutely brilliant at tracking people, winning the ball back, playing it off. And then you've got that extra level of attacking play. I noticed a difference. As soon as Morgan Gibbs-White stepped on the pitch, the attacking intention changed. Against Everton, it went up a level. Yes, there's lots of people tonight saying it might need to go up another level with the finishing and the clinical edge. Absolutely, that's right. But once they work on that and it all clicks, I think we've got one hell of a team coming together.
And you said it better. You said it after a while very well. The split seconds that Morgan Gibbs-White gives the team is crucial, more in the Premier League. And about Steve, I hear and watching every day turn more Clough-esque. Like I remember an interview to Clough the last year. Forest was in the Premier League, and they asked him if he will compromise the game based on the results, and he said he wouldn't, even his life was on the line. And I think every day Cooper is more stick to that idea.
Yeah, I was really pleased. I've followed Brian Clough from being a kid and hang on to every word he says. I've watched all the YouTube videos and listened to everything, and now I kind of do the same with Cooper. Just mentioned Kevin Campbell there. I had a conversation with Kevin Campbell about this very subject. How Steve Cooper is. He's so sharp, you know, like when he's talking to people, when he's talking about the game, when he's evaluating the situation around him. You know, he's a very nice person, it seems, but he can also manage the situation around him and control it in the same way Clough did, without the arrogance and the bravado.
And the stubbornness of Clough.
Yeah. But on the game itself, do you think we was a little bit unlucky? Do you think we could have perhaps got something out of that game?
Yeah, I don't think the word's unlucky. Like, not just because of the fact we were playing against Tottenham, because the fact we were playing against Harry Kane, who must be in the top 6 strikers in the world. So it's just getting used to it. I don't think that the result was unfair. Maybe 2-0 was too much. The second goal was more a distraction of the defense. Some lack maybe of cheekiness, but I was pleased by the overall performance of the team. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and as the season goes on, do you see that we're going to be absolutely safe and secure in the Premier League next season?
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I believe we're going to end up like the 14th or 13th place. We're going to struggle with the top niners, like Newcastle and Tottenham. Maybe win 1 or 2, but I think we are going to be a really nasty headache for many teams in the Premier League. They're not going to say, "Oh, here comes Forest, who have 3 easy points to win." They are not going to want to play us.
No, absolutely not.
We're an annoying team to play against us.
Absolutely, and hopefully we can just keep annoying people to the point where they give us a little bit of credit. That's nearly a Brian Clough saying in itself. But one last thing, Axel, just remind us where you're calling from.
From Argentina, from Buenos Aires.
Absolutely brilliant and great to have you on this evening. What time is it there? It's something we say.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. What do you know about the new signing then? What do you know about, is it Loggy? Is that how you pronounce it?
Renan Lodi. Yes. I've seen a lot of him since he plays. He's a Brazilian. I've seen 4 or 5 games of him against Argentina. He's kind of Neco Williams, but I think he has more defense work rate than Neco. And the difference is normally when he goes into attack, Neco will go like through outside, but Lodi will end up inside the box.
Oh, okay. That's interesting to know.
Yeah. So maybe that's gonna throw off the rivals' defense a little bit.
So he's a typical South American fullback.
Yeah. The one thing that could I think there are 2 weaknesses of him. One is his personality. He has a big ego. That's one of the reasons he left Atletico Madrid on loan. So I see a situation where Cooper benched him like a really nasty one. And then defensively wise, he suffers a lot the crosses through his back, like long crosses. He has some problems with that sometimes. I know it because every time Argentina plays against Brazil, we play through the Renan Lodi side in that way, just long crosses to Di Maria or anyone that's playing on his side.
Okay, that's really really interesting to know, and it'll be interesting to see how he develops. Of course, there is a bit of an issue with Atletico Madrid and Simone, so and we all know that he's not going to put up with much rubbish. I'm sure Cooper won't either. So be interesting to see how that one develops. Of course, it is a loan as well, isn't it? With a view to a permanent deal.
Yeah, but I think he's a good fit for Forest, for the type of play, the formation. I think he will make a good fit.
That's brilliant. Hope he does. I hope he's a real addition to the team, and he brings that attacking intent, like you mentioned, and perhaps chips in with 1 or 2 goals. But it's been great to have you on, Axel. Absolutely brilliant. I think we might have spoke at some point before, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
so it's been great to catch up and share your thoughts. Insightful stuff there about the new signings. So I really, really appreciate that. But have a good day. Enjoy.
Well, thank you, Des. Thanks for having me. See you around.
See you soon. That was Axel there again, another great guest, somebody who's got a lot of sort of information, being from South America, of course, about Loggy, and he said that he's a real attacking fullback who likes to get into the box. That's interesting to hear, isn't it? Maybe 1 or 2 issues over the temperament and 1 or 2 little weaknesses, but hopefully he'll still be an excellent addition, and we've got a really good player on our hands there. I just think, again, it shows the intention by Marinakis and the board, doesn't it? It's absolutely incredible that we're signing Morgan Gibbs-White 1 week, and then we're linked with a £35 million player who was linked to Manchester City. There was talk a couple of weeks ago about being linked to the same player Man United are being linked with. That was not quite materialised on both parts, I think. But again, it shows what kind of market we're in. And whilst these fees are astronomical, and everybody was saying that Morgan Gibbs-White isn't worth this and he's not worth this, teams are freely spending £60 million on a player these days. West Ham have signed a midfielder, Newcastle have signed a striker, and these are not. They're probably very, very, very good players, but they're not deemed the world's best players. So these players cost an absolute fortune these days, and it'll just be really interesting. And with Forest spending a fortune compared to what they have, hopefully it's going to take us to the next level. Just crack on with some comments. James says, evening, Des. Hope you are. Absolutely, James. Great to have you on. Evening, Martin. Comment here. Interesting comment here from Dawn. What a reception Forest fans gave Spence. Really wish he could have stayed with us. Do love Nico, though. Again, it's a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Because we all love Spence, and it was a good reception yesterday. It was nice to see him get on. There's been 1 or 2 rumours about his temperament and what's happening at Spurs, so it was great to see him on the pitch. Glad he didn't score, though. I was surprised they put him on up front, but there you go. It was interesting that they'd done that. So, interesting point from Dawn. Nobody mentioned Spence yet. This is a funny comment. Don't mention midnight. I've been to the doghouse, been in the doghouse all day. I only live around the corner from the City Ground, and it took me an hour to walk home after midnight, and then a couple of beers there. It's interesting that because I only live around the corner, and I didn't get home very early last night either. But there you go, Rebel City. Forest Fanatic, evening, Des. We missed Niakate on Sunday and need another quality central defender. Of course, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Brilliant start to the season for Niakate. Looked a real asset to the team. Got a bit of pace as well, and of course, that's been one of the issues tonight we've been talking about. There's lots of rumours this evening about Willy Bowley. I saw 5 million branded around. I don't know if that's true or not. I heard £1 million last week, and Wolves being Wolves want all the money they can get out of us right now. So I think Bowley would be a good signing. I did watch him quite a bit when they first went into the Premier League, and he looked a real top player. And he had a knack of scoring a goal as well, which is always an asset when we're talking about where the goals have come from, isn't it? So what's your thoughts on that? If you've got any comments on Niakate, love to hear those, and of course any potential centre backs. I think Michael Keane was linked last week as well. Again, another really sort of good player, but perhaps didn't have the best move to Everton. So what are your thoughts on any of those? The transfer window shuts on Thursday. You know, some of us will be quite happy about that. You know, I love commenting on things that have happened rather than speculating about what might happen. So I absolutely love talking about games and where it was won and how it was lost. But of course, it's a big issue. It's what gets people excited and enjoying everything there is about Forest. So if you've got any points on that, I tend to agree with this as well, Simon. Without a sponsor, it's easy to wear as a 40-year-old. Without giving my age away, I'm just a little bit older than that. Mark says, Mr. Marinakis was sponsorless and it will be announced when the window shuts to avoid FFP. Well, not quite sure about that. It will come when it's needed. Just an interesting one here. I've not heard this. Ben Foster slammed Endo for breaking the goalkeeper's code with his hat waving celebration. Perhaps. But who cares? Everything excitable. I want players who want to win. Do you know, we want players that want to win, that are determined and committed. And again, I've mentioned it a few times that we used to be too nice. Now we're not rolling over and accepting it, even if ultimately the quality does fall a little bit short. Another Big Mark saying was happy to see Spence fluff his chance on goal. Love the lad, what he did. But that was then. Absolutely, we have to move on, don't we? We have to start looking forward to what we've got now and falling in love with the players. Of course, you got any comments to add on any of these? Please do drop us a comment. Here's one. We have spent 160 million, but we have a championship defence. Need pace adding to the back line. Much better yesterday, but still only 2 goals in 4 Prem games. Again, lots to sort of. Lots of that been spoken about, but definitely sort of agree with the point. We've got work to do, but let's not forget it is only 4 games as well. So it's 2 goals in 4 games, but it's only 4 games of football, and that's what we have to remember as well, isn't it? You know, Simon says, I think that's a comment for Axel. Loving the South American drink. Southpaw Red says, lack of goals I'm dreading could define our season. Don't think our strikers are up too much, especially a one year. Not quite sure about that. I think there'll be times when you're pleasantly surprised. I thought Awoniyi did okay yesterday. I thought he was okay. You know, he looked to get himself about the pitch, get stuck in. Exactly what you need when you're throwing a player on it. What really interests me about the substitutions yesterday is we ended up with Surridge, Dennis, and Awoniyi on the pitch, as well as Morgan Gibbs-White. And I can't remember exactly right now who the subs that went off were, but we had a lot of attacking players on the pitch. So whilst both ends of the pitch are getting a little bit of stick, you know, just bear that in mind. There's a lot, and when Worrell and Cook and McKenna are exposed, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. O'Brien was taken off as well, who was, of course, that cover and that player who gets around and does a lot of the dirty work for them. So I think, like I said before, winning games, you know, we're going to have to take some risk, and not. Some people are obviously not risk takers, but that's fine. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. And win football matches. So I think it's just important just to see how it develops. You know, not too long, but just give it a couple of games and just enjoy what's happening. Comment here from Dino. Not sure we're signing Bolly from Wolves. He lacks pace like the rest of our defence. Front 3 was quality yesterday, but seems silly having 3 out and out strikers on the bench, 2 of which cost nearly 40 million. Again, it's interesting, isn't it? Because for me, who would you drop? Who would you drop out those 3? I would have played all 3 yesterday, because I think they're the best players. And again, individually, they all got lots of credit. I thought it was Lingard's best game for Forest. I'm not saying he set the world on fire, but for me, again, linking up with the other 2 guys, I think it was his best one so far. So again, it's coming. I put a tweet out there when I was pushing the show on Twitter saying it's coming. I've not made much reference to that, but I definitely feel it's coming. I keep talking about these next few games. Perhaps the Bournemouth game can be a springboard into getting a few more points on the board and seeing where we go from there. I'm just looking through the comments. First game for Morgan, Gibbs White, Lingard and Johnson playing up front. It's only going to get better. Absolutely, guys. All of them played well individually. So whilst it might not have, they linked well, whilst it might not have necessarily clicked on the day in terms of goal scoring output, you know, that was all getting raved about on the TV. They couldn't shut up about Brennan Johnson. And again, last week, everybody said he was rubbish. You know, everyone was talking rubbish because he's absolutely brilliant. But he'll do the business. You know, the runs he were making. People sometimes don't appreciate what these players do. Johnson was making those runs. And if there's a Taiwo Awoniyi on there and he's not making those runs and not penning people back and not sort of getting them back in their penalty box, we don't win the ball back higher up the pitch, do we? We don't allow Lewis O'Brien to do his job and sort of be snappy and getting around players far enough away from our goal to have to worry on the defence. So I can absolutely see why those three were picked yesterday. And it's interesting that sometimes people don't see some of that hard work that's put in terms of the running effort from Brennan. Here's one. This seems to create a lot of conversation. Steve Cooper has not signed a contract yet. Possible reason why the FA are going to shaft NFFC. I'm not too sure what that means, but here we go. They have sounded out Steve Cooper for the England job, which will become vacant in December after the World Cup. They know there's a strong possibility of England not winning and Southgate will go. I'm not quite sure about that, but we'll see. You might be proved right, and you can come on and say, "Told you so." But I think we'll be okay. Cloco there. I think that was going to say I love Des, but comparing Cooper, probably I can't see the rest of the comment, but probably to Brian Clough, I'll get told off from some of the older fans. But believe me, there's some real intelligent stuff in what Cooper does and the way he manages situations around him. So I think it's interesting in that comment. Just a couple of more comments before we sign out tonight. Once again, thank you to everybody that come on. I really, really enjoy doing this show. It's something that's really new to me. Something a little bit different on DoreOnTour from the usual panel shows. You know, we're just trying to deliver different Forest content, talk about the game, have a bit of a review. Not many people talking about Man City tonight. We're still sort of looking at the issues from the weekend. There you go, Man City. And there's a comment, Argie's 8 Brazilians. Well, again, I alluded to Simone and Loggy falling out. Perhaps that might have been something to do with it. But yeah, not much on the Man City game. Really looking forward to it myself. You know, these are the games that we wanted to get promoted for. These are the ones that are really, really important. If we can nick something of it, free it. That cliche that's been churned out many times tonight. You never know. You never know in football. If we knew Man City were going to beat Forest on Wednesday, we'd all be very rich because we'd all put everything we've got in it. But we don't know that. And that's the beauty of it. It's likely, you know, but we don't really know, do we? This is an interesting comment. Bolly was chosen for matchday squad, but didn't report. I heard that myself as well. Not quite sure where that come from. Another rumour I've heard tonight: Ross Barkley, free agent, possibly. Not a massive fan myself, but you never know. Warren Who, don't talk about Michael Keane, it makes the stream echo. There you go. So thanks for joining me, guys. Really, really appreciate everyone coming on. Tried to get as many comments in as I can. Really, really enjoyed it. As we've alluded to, got really busy week. Man City on Wednesday. Lots of finalising for Saturday. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss the game against Bournemouth. I'll be tuning into DoreOnTour to keep on top of everything. And hear the opinions. Prediction here, look, Derek, Man City 0, Forest 3. We'll take that, won't we? This is a comment as well. Some praise for Lingard. Lingard is the only forward to get back in defence when they lose the ball. Love him. He does work hard. Whatever you think about his personal life, his value, his wages, he works hard for the team, and he's not come across as a big time Charlie to me. And if he's in the team with the rest of them and really giving it his best shot, then I absolutely love that about him as well. Paul says, I'm not worried about Man City. Don't be worried, be excited. Simon says, I've never heard so many shout-outs. Just trying to get people involved, Simon. Good luck Saturday, Des from Claire. Thanks, Claire. Kev says, thanks, Des. Really, really enjoyed the show again. Lots of people tuning in. Tune in next week for more chatting about Forest. Perhaps I can ask you the questions. I can ask you about the game. It'd be great to have people who've been to the Bournemouth match to get some insight and know what's going on. Really, really loved it. Keep watching the channel. There's lots more content to come this week. DoreOnTour will be back with his preview probably tomorrow, and of course his vlog. Check out the vlog from yesterday. Still going to watch it myself, so get over and watch that, and of course subscribe to DoreOnTour. Trying to get him up to that 10k. Like the episode, show me some support. I'd love to be able to keep doing this and keep talking about Forest every week. And of course, if you would be really, really kind, please subscribe to Do Daily. Managed to get that 700, long way behind Door, and it's a lot different, like I said right at the start. But it'd be fantastic if you can come on, talk to me about Forest, and like I say, support Do Daily, because then I'll be happy too. I'll be positive, enthusiastic about all the things we're doing. Looking forward to this week's matches. Until next time, guys, have a fantastic evening. Up the Forest, as the man himself says.